Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Family Wealth and Other Musings. I am your host, Becky Easton. Today I was reading through an issue of the Arizona Attorney Daily 5, written by Tim Igoe, and there's an article that I found really interesting that I wanted to share with you guys. As it turns out, farming is just not growing enough young farmers. And the average age of U.S. farmers is nearly 60, and getting young people involved in agriculture is key to building a sustainable food system. So Congress is starting to investigate to amend the legislative soil. Some experts say that the biggest challenge that new farmers face is that land is really unaffordable. And it's also difficult to keep abreast of the regularly rotating crop of USDA programs. So the agency and lawmakers are exploring ways to ease the barriers keeping this next generation fallow. Advocates want Congress to address land access, ease requirements for new producers, and develop a less onerous lending process, because we reap what we sow. And the article is found over on npr.org, and I will share a link for this in the comments as well. And it's a good read. I admittedly have always grown up in the city, in an urban, suburban environment. I grew up in Tucson, and now even out here in Mesa, even though we're pretty well outside the center of the city, we're still very close. And also, I've just never really thought about the type of land that it takes and the quantity of land, I suppose, it takes to run a farming operation. We had a couple of dairies that just recently moved that were kind of down the street from us here because we out here in Eastmark, we definitely were out in the sticks for a little while, but it feels like civilization is creeping closer, and all the amenities are getting we're getting more restaurants and boutiques and everything. It's all coming more and more every day. So, but either way, I've never really spent too much time thinking about what it would take to acquire the amount of land that you would need for a farming operation. And apparently there's this phrase that's kind of like marry it or inherit kind of a thing. So the really only way that you have access to the land is by marrying it or inheriting it. And it's just not as accessible to people. The access to land, the ability to search it. And also, as it turns out, it seems like there's just not very much good education out about the USDA programs for farm workers, or farmers rather. And if anything, this pandemic has really highlighted the need for local and regional food sources. Supply chain issues aside, we need more local options out there. And ensuring a younger generation of farmers can enter the business is really one of those keys to upholding local and regional supply chains that are needed in emergencies. The USDA's Farm Service Agency, the lending arm of the department, has recognized an issue with communication and the fact that the programs that the USDA offers are changing constantly. About every several years, the farm bills are changing, and a lot of the time the programs go away or are brand new out there. And it seems like a lot of the farmers are hearing about them by word of mouth as opposed to direct from the FSA or county offices. So they've recognized this issue, and they're also, identifying opportunities for growth and change, as far as perhaps requiring less stringent collateral or security requirements for young and beginning farmers. Because as of right now, they're still having to qualify just like an established farmer would. So all of that is putting up some real big barriers to entry, for sure. But it does seem that it's an issue that has been recognized in the both the USDA and its lending arm, the FSA, are trying to lean in to younger farmers and calling for advice and recommendations and creating new programs and aid dollars that are pointed towards getting younger and more diverse people interested in jobs in agriculture. So it's good to see that the government is investing in ensuring that the future of farming is in good hands. With an aging farming population, we really need to break down those barriers to entry and ensure that new farmers are able to succeed. And so for now, if you or maybe someone that you know is interested in learning more about farming, there are groups out there like land-grant universities and nonprofits which have actually created training programs to teach them how to stand up as a successful business. So I'd highly encourage you to check in to programs like that. And then also, again, even though they, at least for now, are still changing fairly regularly, learning about the FSA programs that are available and what sort of things you could qualify for as a young new farmer. And so was kind of an interesting read as I was going through it, and just a nice, as I mentioned, to see some focus on really creating more sustainability within our country. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any other industries that maybe we need to get younger people to start looking into, or other issues that maybe we need to look at younger people caring about at all. So if you have thoughts on this, I'd love for you to leave a comment. And if you would be so kind, we are available on all your major podcast outlets now. And if you would take a moment to leave a review for us, it would be greatly appreciated. And you can also support the show by subscribing over on Red Circle or donating. And all of that, again, just helps to support the show and helps me reach out to more people and helps more people hear me and get to know the show. And so again, thank you so much for listening in for another day of Family Wealth and Other Musings. I'm your host, Becky Easton, and I'll be back tomorrow.